Inertia is the force that tends to keep something moving if it's already moving, and tends to keep something still if it isn't moving. On today's Vocab Menace moment, we're not going to talk about physics, we're going to talk about cultural inertia. I attended high school in the 80s. We studied Shakespeare's plays, and every English class had to do a report on The Great Gatsby. You probably had the same. Side note about The Great Gatsby, which is insane. Alternative titles that F. Scott Fitzgerald considered included Traumacchio in West Egg, Among Ash Heaps and Millionaires, Under the Red, White, and Blue, The Gold-Headed Gatsby, and, I'm not kidding about this, he actually thought about titling it The High-Bouncing Lover. Good he didn't do that. Anyway, many years later, my own children entered high school, and what was the curriculum? The same stuff. The teaching of mathematics has changed more than English classes. I was flabbergasted. In fairness, there were a few more contemporary novels, such as A Thousand Splendid Suns, published in 2007, but that was not in the core curriculum. That was an independent study alternative. It's not that studying Shakespeare and Fitzgerald is wrong or bad necessarily, but there's a lot of other literature out there worthy of study. English teachers, get the kids to read This Plague of Days by Robert Chas Chute, for God's sake. Anyway, that was self-serving and true. Anyway, this quirk of academia is cultural inertia. The teachers were taught it, so they teach it to the next generation. Shakespeare is important in many respects, but I think getting young people to fall in love with reading is more important, and Shakespeare is no longer it. Reading Shakespeare is a chore. If you don't want reading to feel like homework, don't make it a chore. Reading Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale, for instance, is relevant and frequently banned by censorious snobs who need to fuck all the way off. I digress. Things in motion tend to stay in motion, and a rock tends to sit there and do nothing unless you go out of your way to exert force upon it. Not the same, but somewhat similar, is normalcy bias. With normalcy bias, a threat is incoming, but because people underestimate said threat, they do nothing. Things have always been okay, so they'll probably continue to be okay. Not true. Normalcy bias is why people in the predicted path of a forest fire or a hurricane don't evacuate. It's why when the elderly can no longer stay alone in their homes safely, many stay too long and hurt themselves. They fall down, they don't have help, they need help. Don't stay in the house too long, old people. It's the mentality of, I've driven myself for 9 decades. What do you mean you want to take my keys away? It's why when governments become fascistic, when they become fascist, vulnerable groups do not flee long before the empire actually falls, and they get, we tell ourselves comforting fairy tales, hoping we won't have to move or change. The world changes faster than individuals do, and therein lies the danger. I am the suspense writer and vocab menace, Robert Chas Chute. If you enjoy my content, please support my channel. Like, subscribe, follow, comment, pet your dog, bathe your cat, and make delicious pasta while watching Stanley Tucci explore Italy. Those last 3 things won't help me much, but your pets need it, and Stanley Tucci is a treasure and a pleasure. Even better, what you could do is support my work by buying my apocalyptic novels and killer crime thrillers. Find all the links on my author website, allthatjazz.com. And happy Thursday.